hard for me to believe that next week actually gets us into September. I think next Sunday, I think, is September 1, if I remember correctly. Just hard to believe. Whenever I think of September, I can't help but think about apple season. I think apples start getting ripe around September, and I do love a good apple. I guess Golden Delicious is my favorite. I know you can. Apples have a lot of variants. You can go from the Granny Smith, which is a tart apple that they use for cooking a lot, and then all the way to the Fuji, and like I say, Golden Delicious is the one that I really love to eat. A good, fresh, Golden Delicious apple. Well, I plan on going this next week to Washington State in order to visit my daughter and my grandchildren. And so whenever I do that, I know Washington State is known for their apples. And so it's been on my mind that when I get there, I want to go buy some fresh apples, be able to enjoy those. And my wife has even promised that she'll make me an apple cobbler whenever I get there. So I'm pretty excited about apple season coming into play. I was thinking about all the different types of apples and apple trees, and when I start thinking about that, it makes me realize that you really can't tell one apple tree from another until the fruit actually comes out. And I find that sometimes that's true with people too. Well, my name is Richard Coleman, and I'm the pastor at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene in Lexington, South Carolina, and it's great to spend just a few moments with you today. I've been looking in the Gospel of Luke, and we find Jesus' words in Luke where he had just finished talking about judging other people. And so he was talking about how don't go judging your brother and trying to find that little speck of sawdust in his eye when you actually have a 8-foot-long 2x4 sticking in your own eye. In other words, deal with yourself before you try to deal with others. And Jesus was basically letting us know that if we deal with our own issues, it's going to be a full-time job, and we really won't have time to have to worry about other people and their issues. And then he goes directly from talking about that to talking about the fruit that comes from trees. Jesus said that a good tree does not produce bad fruit. And likewise, he said a bad tree does not produce good fruit. I can't help but think about the different types of trees. When I grew up, we had a wild persimmon tree in our yard. And most people have probably never eaten a persimmon. They come ripe in the fall, and they're orange on the tree. And you have to wait until they're really mushy before you can eat them. If you eat them early, they'll just pucker you up like nothing you've ever seen before. But I was thinking about it. If I've gone to the store, like a grocery store where they sell apple trees, and I would look at the little sprigs that they had, and if I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a little apple tree and a little persimmon tree. I could end up getting the wrong one and wouldn't have the type of fruit that I really wanted. I have to go by the label that is on the tree to know what it is that I'm buying. Jesus was saying that people are much the same way. That if we truly are a Christian, if we love God with all of who we are, if God's first in our life, then the fruit that we produce is going to be good fruit. Now, most of you are probably thinking, well, wait a minute, every once in a while I have a bad day, I don't get enough sleep, I maybe get sick or whatever it is, I get fatigued. Sometimes I'll snap at somebody or whatever it may be. I know those things happen. But what Jesus is talking about is that as Christians, that we're supposed to realize that our attitude and the things that we say have a direct effect upon other people and also upon our witness. And so Jesus wants us to understand that what is on our inside and where we put our values and what's the most important thing in our life, then that is what is going to come out of our mouth. And so if we're selfish, if we're bitter, all of those things, that whenever we're speaking and doing, those are the things that people are going to see. And on the other hand, if we put God first, and like Jesus said, the second most important commandment, and just as important as the first, is to love your neighbor as yourself. And whenever we have that in our heart, then whenever we deal with people, we'll have compassion and sympathy and empathy and realize that those people have struggles just like we do, and how important it is to be able to love them even when they have issues themselves. And remember what Jesus said about don't worry about the speck in their eye when we have so many things already going on in our life. So it makes me think, if I could choose what type of tree I would want to be, what type of tree would that be? And as I thought about it, and like I say, I started with my illustration about apples, I think it would be good to be an apple tree, because then I could see people come, and when they saw the fruit on my tree, they'd be able to pluck off those golden, delicious apples and enjoy them and enjoy being around them, and it would make them happy. And I believe Jesus wants us to be the type of tree or the type of person that can bring happiness to others. You see, we really didn't have a choice about who we were born, what family we were born into, or what country that we were born into. We didn't have choices about any of those things, but we do have a choice about what type of person we're to be. And Jesus wants us to be the person that has Him on the inside, so that we can bear good fruit and be able to show His love to other people. Well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you, and may you truly be able to exhibit good fruit this week. Thanks for taking the time and watching today.